She's struggling, she's heartbroken. Living life is so difficult for her. We've got to go and help her. It all started in February of 2023, just last year. It's at the end of my fitness class when one of my students that just started with me approached me and said, "Hey Allan, can I talk to you for a few minutes?" I thought it would be about class. "Yeah, come on, let's go sit down." And while everybody is packing up, she looks over at me and says, "Allan, I wanted to come and talk to you because I'm going through this problem that I think you can help me with. And I wasn't really sure where to go, but a lot of the other instructors told me to come to you because you were experiencing something similar." With a lot of curiosity, I looked back at her and I said, "Yeah, of course. Tell me what's on your mind." With a seemingly sad face and some droopy eyes, she slightly tilts over towards me and says, "Allan, I want you to know that I'm going through a hard time because my mom is dying and she has cancer." Instantly, I realized why she came to talk to me, and I decided to do whatever I could to help her out in that moment. She told me that her mom was fighting cancer for give or take about the past year. Things were getting worse, a lot worse, because for her mom was her biggest connection, her life support. She was the reason that my friend and student, Genus, was alive. Mom was like the rock to her. And one of the hardest things to think about is imagining living life without having your rock there by your side, your supporter, your main friend, the advisor to your life that makes you and your life so much better. That's the kind of person Genus's mom was to her. Genus was having the hardest time, but rightfully so, imagining having life without that person that's been there all those years, throughout the entirety of your life for you. So Genus proceeds to tell me that she is struggling with living normal, day to day. Every day is a major struggle for her. When she goes to see her mom, she tries her best to keep that straight face, that happy face. But once she leaves her mom's bedside, living day to day is becoming heavier, emotionally harder. And similar to what I went through with my dad, all she could think about was the pain and suffering that her mom was going through. At that moment, I knew we had to do something for her. So after we had our discussion, I told her that I'll get back to her. Of course we can help. Let me just cover some details with Helen. And of course, we'll figure out how we can best help you. Well, later that night when I got home, I messaged Helen. And I said, "Hey, one of my fitness students is struggling. Just like me and my dad last month, with him passing away, my student is having to face something really similar with her mom at the verge of passing. She's struggling, she's heartbroken. Living life is so difficult for her. We've got to go and help her." And of course, in Toned at 50 Helen Fong fashion, she replies to me by saying, "Of course we can help her. There's no problem to that. We'll do whatever we can." So in the following few days, we reach out to Genus, we reconnect, and we schedule some time together. The first session was over Zoom. And the moment we turned on Zoom, there's Helen, there's myself, and there's Genus on the other side, doing her best to smile, which she always does. But behind that smile was an immense amount of heartache, pain, suffering. Genus has always been really good at hiding the pain in her emotions, and she does it by putting on a smile. And if you don't know her that well, you might just assume that she's happy. She's just one of those people that no matter how much it hurts, she always finds a way to show those pearly whites, to put a smile on her face for everybody else around her. But Helen and I, we already spoke to her. We already got a chance to know her. And we knew that the more she was smiling, the more pain she was in. So what we did is we explained to Genus that how we can make the shift for her is both from a conscious and from a subconscious exercise. And the exercise is really simple. It's in a way helping her that there's still a connection between her and her mother, even when her mother passes. And the reason is because Genus felt that when her mom was going to pass away, that her mom would just not be there, completely not be there for the rest of her life. And the thought of going day by day without any type of connection with her mom was the very thing that was killing her inside. And with her explanation, all she pleaded for was just a chance to find a way to still keep that heartfelt connection between her and her mom. even if it wasn't real, even if it wasn't something that was physically possible. It was more of the feeling that Genius wanted to keep, a part of her mom that was in her heart for the rest of her life. So the first thing we did is we told Genius, if you're open to trying something different, something that you've probably never done before, we can help you attain that as a result. But a kind reminder, it's not us doing it to you. It's you learning to do it to yourself. And the first thing Genius did is she kind of looked at us like, what do you mean? You see, a lot of times people think that when we do this kind of work to help people, that it's us making the shift, it's us making the transformation. But really, Helen and myself, we're not doing any of that. What we're doing is we're learning how the person thinks. We're learning what the difference is between their reality and their belief system. And we find a way to merge the two when the two are not originally aligning with each other. Take, for example, Genius wanted to have an ability to stay connected with her mom, even when her mom passes away. That was her desire. But her conscious or her reality was saying, no, there's no way. That's impossible. There is no way that you can have any type of connection with someone who's already passed. So that in itself created a conflict. And with conflict inside, it creates pain inside the emotions. It creates frustration in the brain. And it makes day-to-day living extremely hard as the days go by where that problem is not being resolved. The only thing Helen and I did is we explained to her that A, there is a way to merge the two. So you can believe that there's still a connection even if your mom passes. Even if it's not true in reality. If it's true to you, if you believe it, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. That's all that matters because all you want to do is feel good. All you want to do is feel alive. You want to feel connected to your mom. Whether she's physically there with you or in spirit. Or just in thought. The one thing you don't want to lose is the connection to the one woman who's been there and supported you all your life. Genius fully understood that. And so she said, hey, guide me, show me what I got to do, teach me. I'll do whatever it is I got to do to keep this connection with my mom. And that's exactly what we did. So allow me to share with you the steps that we did with Genius so you can get an understanding as to how you might be able to do this for yourself too. Or you can ask for help from a professional, from Helen, from myself, from somebody maybe in your own network who knows how to do this so you too can overcome some of your past challenges as well. Step number 1, we had to discover what is Genius's belief system in terms of what's possible right now versus the desire that she wanted, which is, in this case, very different between the two. Step number 2, we then walked Genius through a mind exercise that allowed her to find her own way to merge her fantasy with her own reality. Step number 3, once she went through the exercise, we looked for visual cues. Things like her crying, things like her breathing. Was her crying starting to lighten up? Was her breathing becoming more relaxed, or was it still tight and tense? Was she able to think about her mom in a more relaxed, comfortable way, or was she still in this mode of depression, of feeling horrible, of feeling sad, which is originally how Genius came to us, feeling horrible, feeling sad, feeling like she's about to lose her best friend. Those visual cues become unconscious. In other words, they're things that we do naturally when we don't have our guard up and when we're not trying to act out of character, when we're just allowing ourselves to be ourselves. And through repetition of those 3 pieces, we helped Genius figure out a way to merge her fantasy with her reality. So in the end of the exercise, it became very difficult for her to tell the difference between the two. Now, it's not fooling or it's not make-believing. It's just allowing the part of our minds that want to believe in something so much, even if we know it's not really real or if we can't really say it's real 100% for sure. If our emotions feel satisfied enough as if it was real, oftentimes that's enough to create positive change. And in the end result, what happened next was extraordinary. When someone finishes the mental exercise, we look at them and ask them, hey, how are you feeling right now? And we usually get one of 2 responses. Either A, I still feel horrible, or B, there's something different. And the first cue that we look for is usually some element of surprise. In this case, Genius not only looked relatively surprised, But she also started to look lighthearted. All of a sudden her head went up. All of a sudden her shoulders started to relax. All of a sudden it was easy for her to just think about her mom without breaking into tears and to major heartache. And once she was completely present with us in that moment in the conversation, we just looked at Genius and said, hey, how do you feel? Hey, tell us about your mom. Now in that moment, it's critical, because either she'll fall apart, start to cry and sob and feel miserable, which is how she came to us. And again, rightfully so, with her mom passing away at the time. Or she would show a different effect when thinking about her mom. Within a split second, we knew that she had a positive change, because the neural connections in her brain started to show us that not only was she reacting different to the thought of her mom, but she was starting to show signs of comfort, of acceptance, and even a little bit of happiness. Not happiness that her mom's passing away, of course, but happiness that that pain that she had was being transformed into relief. That the thoughts of worry and of depression and all the things that were hurting her emotionally, all of a sudden in that moment, she was showing signs that she was feeling comfortable, that she had a level of acceptance of what was going on. Despite knowing that she's going to lose her mom, despite knowing that there's nothing that she could do for her mother except be there for her on her final days. There was a level of heartfelt acceptance that Genius was demonstrating that really showed us that she was transforming from a place of heartache and pain to a place of peace, acceptance, and love. Fast forward to now, a year later, Genius has now moved on in her life with the ability to make new friends, go out and try new things, take part in different classes and events. Not only is she learning to live life to the fullest, but anytime she talks about her mom, she can't help but have this glow on her face, a little happiness in her heart, and an ability to share her experiences about her mom to the world or anybody that wants to ask her. She's even moved on to overcoming different kind of challenges, from not being able to swim because of something that happened to her when she was really, really young. She's learned to overcome that, to the fear of driving, where now she can get behind the wheel and still feel a little nervous about it because she's learning. But compare that to years upon years where she couldn't even step foot in the driver's seat, let alone turn on the engine. Genius's transformation is remarkable. And in closing on this video, I just want to share with you some of her closing comments about how this transformation has helped reshape her life in a positive way.
My mom passed away in late March, and I approached Allan around end of February, and he introduced me to Helen, and both of them helped me a lot through accepting the inevitable with her condition, and even afterwards with accepting her death. Before I went to them, I was the primary caregiver for my mother, and I carried a lot of burden on my own, and I thought I could do it on my own, but I think reaching out was the right thing to do, because they've helped me, equipped me with tools, how to manage trauma and how to be a better person and get out of my own way, and address the inner child that I needed to address. What they do is really invaluable. I can't even put a price on the amount of help they've given me. And I really did feel the warmth and the genuine care that they gave me. It wasn't about clocking in hours or receiving a paycheck. They really do want to see you do better. And because of them, I was able to recover so much more quickly than the average person. My mother was very close to me, and without their help, I might still be stuck processing that trauma and that grief. So I'm just so thankful to the both of them. And they've also been helping me with fears such as driving and swimming, which I haven't been able to do for a decade or so. I can actually submerge myself underwater and do some front strokes now, and I can get behind the wheel and drive around the block and even park a car. So that is saying a lot. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, Allan and Helen.